والعصر إن الإنسان لفي خسر إلا الذين آمنوا وعملوا الصالحات وتواصوا بالحق وتواصوا بالصبر.
الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. Let's continue inshallah verse number which is 14 now. The advice continues, but something quite noticeable changes. The advice continues, but something quite noticeable happens. This verse begins, وَوَصَّيْنَا الْإِنسَانَ بِوَالِدَيْهِ. We have instructed man concerning his parents. How did it begin? Luqman said, or somebody else said? Someone said Luqman. Somebody else said Allah Jalla wa'ala. وَوَصَّيْنَا. We have instructed. Wassa means to command, in fact, not just to advise. At-Tabari said, وَوَصَّيْنَا الْإِنسَانَ بِوَالِدَيْهِ means we have commanded man to show bir to both mum and dad. That is the tafsir. But how Allah said it? You see, Allah previously said, وَإِذْ قَالَ Luqman. And Luqman said, and then he did, and this is what he said. And then, after saying, and Luqman said, and we have instructed man to be good to his parents. There's a difference there, isn't there? Something called iltifat, which is a transition from narrative. It went from a third person narrative. He said, he did, he went, to I say. You see the transition there, all of a sudden. What benefit does that serve? We'll come to that. So just bear that in mind. So Allah said, and we have instructed man to be good to his parents. Show bir to them. Then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives us the reason. Why am I telling you that you need to be damn good to your parents? Why? حَمَلَتْهُ أُمُّهُ. The mother is mentioned. That she حَمَلَتْهُ أُمُّهُ وَهْنًا عَلَى وَهْنٍ. Subhanallah. That she carried you in her womb in a particular state. وَهْنًا عَلَى وَهْنٍ. With wahn. What does wahn mean? Two interpretations. The first is that both wahn goes back to the mother, and it means from one stage of weakness to another stage of weakness. Ibn Ashur said no, it actually means one stage of weakness ploughed upon another state of weakness, and then another stage of weakness, meaning she becomes weaker and weaker and weaker as the term of pregnancy goes on. And subhanAllah, how true is that? A woman starts off, okay, she conceives, morning sickness. That's tough. Then it's the weight issue. You know, the baby now weighs a lot. My back's starting to go now. Then the baby's always taking my food, nourishment, and now I become so weak. Iron is low, glucose is low, and then the major wahan at the end, delivery. That's incredibly hard. But it's all being stacked up on the woman, wahnan ala wahn. Do you see that? So Allah is saying, why am I telling you to be good to your parents? Well, think about your mother first. How she carried you in her womb. An amazing, act of kindness she displayed to you. Even before you were born, she's taking care of you. And that's taking care wasn't easy for her. It was very difficult. The second interpretation is that the first wahan refers to the mother, and the second wahan refers to the fetus. That there are two weak beings in the process. The mother, she's weak because of the fetus. But the fetus inside of her is also weak as well. That's the second interpretation. Which kind of means that, the mother, she's becoming weak because of your weakness. Subhanallah. You are one little wahan inside of her. And you're always taking all her nourishment, all her goodness. And because of that, she becomes wahan. Amazing. That's the first point Allah makes about the mother. Then Allah adds a second to the mother. وَفِصَالُهُ فِي عَامَيْنِ. And she breastfed you for 2 years. Showing us that the recommended term of breastfeeding should be 2 years before you're weaned off completely, that is, to solids. Okay? So breastfeeding, that's difficult as well. That's not an easy thing, you know. The breastfeeding at night, for example, some babies feed every, 2 hours? Every 2 hours? I mean, have you ever done that? Get up every 2 hours? You know, get up and take your iPhone. No, no message. Even that, no one's done that, you know. So if she's done that, وَهْنًا عَلَى وَهْنٍ, and then وَفِصَالُهُ فِي عَامَيْنِ. That's the second great thing that your mother's done for you. Now you're too young, you were too young to even know that. I'm going to tell you. I'm going to tell you about those things that she might not even told you. The way she carried you in a womb and then the way she breastfed you. Two very difficult things. Now you'd think that after stating this, Allah would then say, now be thankful to who? Be thankful to mum and dad, right? Allah doesn't say that. What does Allah say? What did He say? وَأَنِشْكُرْ لِي, and be grateful to me. وَلِوَالِدَيْكَ, and then to your parents. Why? I thought the logical flow would be, your mum's done this and this for you, and so be grateful to me. Why? What are we being taught here, my brothers and sisters? What are we being taught here? Submission. I don't like one word answers, to be honest. What's that? Okay, very good. That Allah loves you more way than a mother, and what else?
Allah is the cause of the mercy of the mother to you.
Allah loves you more than your mother, and that is why He gave you a mother that does this for you. So I am the source of that mother and that father. That's why it makes sense to say anishkur li first. First of all, recognize that lovely mother, that put you in your onesies and gave you all your food and took care of you. I placed that love in her for you. I'm the one who did that. I'm getting distracted by a young girl who keeps coming here. Tayyib. So, anishkur li wali walidayk. And then show grateful to your who? Mother? What did Allah mention at the end? Both of them come back. In the beginning, both of them there. In the end, both of them there. So how many times is the mother mentioned and how many times is the father mentioned? 3-2. 3-2, the scores of... Yes. Mother 3, father 1. Okay, but in the beginning Allah said, وَوَصَّيْنَا الْإِنسَانَ بِوَالِدَيْهِ, mother and father. Then حَمَلَتْهُ أُمُّهُ وَهْنًا عَلَى وَهْنٍ وَفِصَالُهُ فِي عَامَيْنِ أَنِ اشْكُرْ لِي وَلِوَالِدَيْكَ. 3-2. Yeah, so the mother was given more mention than the father. However, isn't a father already been mentioned before this? Luqman has already been mentioned before this. Yeah. The role of the mother and what she done for you is mentioned here. Breastfed and bore you in her womb. What's the role of the father then? Why should we be grateful to our father? Fathers. Why? What is their role? Allah mentioned the mother's role, or of the mother's role, are these two things. Allah never mentioned the father's role, right? So what's the father's role? Do you remember this from last time? You do, don't you? He's not saying anything. Ali at the back, please. Bears your expenses. Dad ki credit card mil jayega na yaar? No. It's mentioned in this passage already. Ya Abdullah. Tarbiyah. Luqman is the dad already mentioned. And what did he do to son? He gave him an admonition. Gave him strong piece of advice. Dads were already mentioned. Dads, you're supposed to counsel your children. You're supposed to advise them. You're supposed to teach them how to be in the world. Strong advice from dad. That's the role of the dad. Mother's role is different. And that mother role is mentioned here. Very interesting how things are coming together. Father, mother mentioned. Father already mentioned his role. The other interesting thing is, the role of the mother, that kind of comes naturally, right? I mean, she can't really choose whether or not she becomes pregnant with you or not. True? And breastfeeding, she could give somebody else the role of breastfeeding you, but even that breastfeeding comes naturally, right? What about the father's role? Is it come naturally? advising the child, being the father figure, does it come as naturally as the breastfeeding comes to the mother? It doesn't, does it? So what does that teach us? It teaches us that the father's role is often overlooked by the father. He doesn't realize that I have a role for my children. He overlooks that. Allah is showing us, look at the role of the father. A strong male figure who gives sound advice to children. That is what Luqman is doing. Okay, let's move on. طيب. وَإِن جَاهَدَاكَ عَلَىٰ أَن تُشْرِكَ بِي مَا لَيْسَ لَكَ بِهِ عِلْمٌ فَلَا تُطِعْهُمَا. This is quite amazing because Allah just, if you like, built up the monumental status of mum and dad in your eyes. Then Allah tells you, if those people that I've just told you to show so much respect, honor to, try their very best to associate partners with me, no. Then we draw a line. Allah says, وَإِن جَاهَدَاكَ عَلَىٰ أَن تُشْرِكَ بِي مَا لَيْسَ لَكَ بِهِ عِلْمٌ فَلَا تُطِعْهُمَا. If they ask you to do shirk with me, don't obey them. Don't obey them. So I'm telling you to obey them open, general. Do the best you can to obey them. Except in certain circumstances. What are those circumstances? When they tell you to do something un-Islamic. There's a story that triggered this revelation. Sa'ad ibn Malik radiallahu ta'ala, in the time of the Prophet ﷺ, he's a mushrik, so is his mum. He becomes a Muslim. Allahu Akbar. Mum says, I'm not having that. You become Muslim? You know what? I take an oath. I will not eat or drink until you become a mushrik once again. Damn, that's a dilemma there. Mum, you putting me in that situation? Damn right, son, I'm putting you in that situation. I'm not going to eat a thing. One day goes past. Mum hasn't eaten nothing. Oh, come on, Mum, don't do this to yourself. Second day goes past. She's really weak now. Third day, she's in bed bound, and she says, I'm not going to eat anything until you give up your Islam. What does Sa'ad ibn Malik says? He says, by Allah, if you had 100 lives and I saw you lose them one after the other, I would never give up this religion. Subhanallah. When she saw the conviction in his words, she began to eat and drink. Amazing. This verse was revealed. وَإِن جَاهَدَاكَ. They're not just telling you, we don't like the fact you're Muslim. Jahadaka. They are bullying you, intimidating you, emotionally blackmailing you to give up your Islam. That's a tough situation, right? Allah is saying, in that situation, I'm going to give you the advice. Twofold advice. First of all, فَلَا تُطِعْهُمَا. You can't obey them. You can't say, okay, Mom, you know what? I denounce Islam. Can't do that. However, the advice continues. What does Allah say? وَصَاحِبَهُمَا فِي الدُّنْيَا مَعْرُوفًا. But do musahaba with them in this dunya in a good way. What does musahaba mean? It means to keep close company with. So Allah is saying that, your mom, she's asking you to do bad things. Dad's asking you to do bad things better. You got graduated, you need to get a mortgage now. You get to get a house now, man. Come on. Everyone is getting a mortgage. You need to do the same thing. Dad, I can't do it. It's riba, Better, don't disappoint me, okay? Don't disappoint me. Dad, I can't do it. Seriously, I can't do it. فَلَا تُطِعْهُمَا. But don't say, Dad, how dare you tell me to get a mortgage? I don't want nothing to do with you anymore. I'm going to move out. I'll put you in an old people's home. I don't want nothing to do with you. You told me to do shirk with Allah. You know what? To hell with you. I don't want nothing to do with you anymore. That is what some people would do, right? You put me in that difficult situation, I'm not going to do that. And the way I react is I'm going to say, to hell with you. Look what Allah then said. وَصَاحِبَهُمَا فِي الدُّنْيَا مَعْرُوفًا. But you need to keep close company with them. Don't say to hell with you. I'm going to try and be around you as much as I can. And I'm not going to say, I've got nothing to do with you. But I'm not going to obey you. It's quite a beautiful piece of advice, isn't it? From one angle, I'm not going to obey you. From another perspective, I'm still going to be by your side as much as I can. A very comprehensive instruction. Then Allah added a third piece of advice. وَاتَّبِعْ سَبِيلَ مَنْ أَنَابَ إِلَيْهِ. And follow those that have turned to me. Meaning righteous people. You see, you're with mum and dad are always banging on about how they don't like you wearing niqab. How can you wear niqab? You know what uncles and aunties say nowadays. Do you know what people are like outside? Don't do it. Okay, it's wrong. Don't do it. Mom, I need to. I believe that it's fun. Betty, don't do it. It's difficult at home now, Every time I'm home, Mum's always giving me hints and comments about my niqab. Okay, I tell you what, besides those two things, not obeying her and also not leaving her and deserting her, the other thing is you need to get good company. You need some time to escape and be around good people. That's the third piece of advice. وَاتَّبِعْ سَبِيلَ مَنْ أَنَابَ إِلَيْهِ. Find a good influence in your life. Not spend time with them. وَاتَّبِعْ, follow them. You see, it's quite interesting. Allah said about those parents, just be close to them. But He said about the good company, not be close to them, follow them. Yeah, it's like you can be around mum, but just turn off the hearing. Mum's saying really bad things, turn it off, just be around her. Yeah, it's okay. I'm not going to listen to what you're saying. Now I'm with my sisters and my brothers in the masjid or wherever else, I'm going to give you some advice. I'm ready to listen. I'm ready to take what you say. That's more than just being in their company. That's following. Very beautiful, comprehensive piece of advice. ثُمَّ إِلَيَّ مَرْجِعُكُمْ فَأُنَبِّئُكُمْ بِمَا كُنْتُمْ تَعْمَلُونَ. Then you will return to me and I will inform you about that which you used to do. See, that kind of sends a message to both bad parents as well as a struggling child. It sends a message that, you're going to come back to me and I will reward you for that. It sends a message to those bad parents, you doing this to your child, telling them to be un-Islamic, you're going to come back to me. I'm warning you. Yeah? Ibn Ashur brought this one, it contains wa'ad and wa'id. Alright, so that question that we posed in the beginning, there is a clear contrast in narrative here. He went here, he did this, I'm saying this. Yeah? وَوَصَّيْنَا الْإِنسَانَ بِوَالِدَيْهِ. What extra, benefit do we get from this? That Luqman is giving his son a piece of advice. But the next thing that is said is not what Luqman said, it is what Allah said. Though there are two opinions, that this is either what Luqman is saying, inspired to him by Allah, because one opinion is that he's a prophet. But the other opinion is that he's not a prophet, and these words are not his words, they're the words of Allah. So Allah is taking his advice and then inserting in it his own words, majestic words. So, why did Allah, when it came to talking about the rights of parents and the advice about, being in a difficult situation with your mum and dad, why was that said by Allah Himself and not allowed to be said by Luqman or narrated as if it's being said by Luqman? Is the question clear? Yeah? It's quite strange. If you were to read a book, okay, and you read that, John Smith, he's coming up everywhere. John Smith, he went to the sweet shop, he bought his newspaper, and I'm telling you, be good to your parents. You think, where did that come from? It would be John who would have said that, right? So why? Why this iltifat? What extra meaning does it give? What lesson does it teach us? Who can answer this question? Abdullah.
The person shouldn't, the parent shouldn't be telling the son that you should be doing this to me. It's better and it has more impact if someone else says from the outside that you should be good to yourself.
Okay, mashallah. Abdullah said that it shouldn't really be the role of the parent to say to his son, you need to respect me, I'm a dad. It should be somebody else. And if it is somebody else, it's more effective. Who agrees with Abdullah? Abdullah, where did you hear this from? I'm just kidding. MashaAllah, this is yours. Very good. Coming up with an unoriginal answer. Who else can come up with another lesson? And by the way, let's just ponder over what you just said there. It shouldn't really be the parents that tell the children, respect me. It should be somebody else. Like an uncle. Like a friend of the dad. Like anybody else. The imam on the pulpit. If it comes from that person, it's more effective. Why? Why is it more effective? Well, because think about husband and wife scenario. Okay, husband's not too happy with the wife, cooking's not up to scratch, or whatever it may be. So he says, you're supposed to be good to me, supposed to obey me. And the Prophet said that if a man leaves the bed of his wife because he's angry with her, the angels will curse her until the morning. Don't you know these things? So the wife's going to be like, it's a bit difficult for me to take that from you, kind of in your interest to throw that hadith in my face, isn't it? It's true. So do you see the self-interest element will kind of decrease the impact of the advice? Do you get that? Same concept here. The mum and dad, if they say to their children, you need to respect us, be good to us, this child is going to be like, yeah, fair enough, but you would say that, wouldn't you? So that's why Allah is saying, وَوَصَّيْنَا الْإِنسَانِ. Luqman is not going to say it to his son, we're going to say it to his son and to every son and daughter out there. Very good point, Abdullah. MashaAllah. Anyone else come up with another reason why they think that there is this iltifat here? To make it more interesting. Wow, we're getting very colourful with our answers now. Anyone else? Yep, brother over there.
You can see in both paragraphs, one where Luqman saying it's all beloved son like
Yep.
These are quite clear instructions and very precise in the sense of not to add anything or not to make it too, it's quite subtle and very balanced.
It's very subtle and balanced. I mean, that could be said about all of what has been said already. To be honest, I could say about everything in the Quran. That's not really the answer. Yes, go ahead.
It's universal, it's universal.
Okay, very good. That is one of the answers, in fact. That it's a universal piece of advice. Somebody might be thinking, Luqman said to his son, you need to be good to parents. Oh yeah, in those days, children should have been good to their parents. Once upon a time, children were good to their parents. In our times, no, it's not like that. Okay, that's another good answer. There's a third answer, which is that the fact that Allah championed the rights of the parents himself and didn't allow a third person to do it shows us the significance of the command itself. Do you see that? Allah said the rights of the I'm going to tell you about that. No one else. Not Luqman. وَوَصَّيْنَا الْإِنسَانِ. SubhanAllah. We're not going to leave anyone else to tell you about the rights of the parents. We're going to do it our own self. And that kind of comes through from the iltifat. Okay, very good. Let's move on. Now, the next part, it returns back to Luqman and what he says to his son. يا بني إنها إن تك مثقال حبة من خردل فتكن في صخرة أو في السماوات أو في الأرض يأتي بها الله إن الله لطيف خبير. My son, even if something weighs as little as a mustard seed and is inside a rock or anywhere else in the heavens or the earth, Allah will bring it out. Allah is all pervading, all aware. Beautiful, amazing piece of advice he's giving his son. How does he begin the advice? Dirty, filthy mushrik? No. Ya bunayya, my dear, sweet child. SubhanAllah. Amazing. He's already said Ya bunayya already. He's saying it again. And the second thing, dear child, what I want to tell you, a child is sitting there and he's listening. He's listening because dad's talking sense. And dad's being very caring. Dad's giving me the time of day. When children feel like dad's gives them the time of day, they don't mind listening. They feel dad he's not really bothered about me. Not really going to give much attention to dad either. So he's listening, sitting there listening, and now dad says, Ya bunayya. And then he's going to give him an imaginary scenario. What is the scenario? إِنَّهَا إِن تَكُ مِثْقَالَ حَبَّةٍ مِّنْ خَرْدٍ. Son, I want you to imagine something. Imagine a tiny habba, seed, min khard, from a mustard, meaning a tiny mustard seed. It's almost a speck. This speck, where is it? I want you to imagine fatakun fi sakhra, inside a sakhra. Sakhra doesn't mean rock, it means boulder. A huge, massive boulder like the one you see in the picture. Somewhere inside of that boulder, there's a tiny mustard seed. Now, to add to that, where is this boulder with this tiny mustard seed. أو في السماوات أو في الأرض. It could be anywhere in the galaxy, anywhere in the universe, any planet, any galaxy out there. In the Milky Way, maybe outside of the Milky Way. Who knows? Or it could be somewhere on the earth. Son, could you go and find that? Could you go and locate that boulder, take out the seed? Do you have the power to do that? Do you have the knowledge to do that? Son's thinking, no, where are you taking this, Dad? I can't do that. He says, oh, let's imagine you found the boulder. Just say you found it, just for argument's sake. You found the boulder. Could you crack it open and find it? Do you have enough power to do that? It's a massive boulder. I can't do that, Dad. Okay, just imagine you not only found it, but you cracked it open. Who's to say that the seed is right there, bang in the middle? It could be somewhere in this side, could be somewhere in that side. True or not? Could be anywhere. So son, not only do you need the knowledge to find it, you need enough power to disintegrate that boulder down to dust in order to pick out that one mustard seed. Son, who can do that? Ya'ti biha Allah. Only Allah could bring that mustard seed before your very eyes. Beautiful, creative, imaginative piece of advice. What does that seed symbolize? What does the seed stand for? I can't hear anything on that side. What's that? Abdullah? Sin. Very good. It symbolizes your sin. Even if your sin is so tiny, no one knows about it. You did it in the depths of the night. You know who knows about it? And not only knows, ya'ti means to bring. SubhanAllah. Allah can bring that tiny seed, that sin of yours, on the day of Qiyamah. Amazing. How's son going to feel now about Allah? If you were in son's place, how would you be feeling about Allah at this point? What do you think? How would you think the son would be feeling? What do you think he was thinking about Allah now? He's scared, okay. So he's feeling scared, or you mean like he's feeling in awe of Allah? Yeah? Very good. Do you remember what Ibn Ashur said in the beginning? He said the main thrust of the advice is teach his son about Tawheed through the greatness of Allah. SubhanAllah. This here, Ibn Ashur says, Ya'ti biha Allah, illustrates the power of Allah. Only Allah has the power to disintegrate that boulder down and to bring that seed before your very eyes. See, now he's thinking, how great is Allah? Man, Allah can do that? I never really thought of it like that. You know what? Dad ends this piece of advice by saying, and there's two things I want you to know about Allah. Allah is Latif, Allah is Khabir. Latif means accurate and precise. In this context, it means accurate and precise. And Khabir means totally and incomprehensively knowledgeable. He knows everything from every angle, however tiny it may be. Now we can appreciate him saying that, you know, Allah is Khabir because he's talking about a tiny mustard seed being somewhere in the middle of the galaxy. But how can we appreciate the fact that he's saying Allah is precise? How does that tie into the fact of the example? How does it tie into the example? Tahir.
You said that the seed could be anywhere. It doesn't have to be right in the middle.
Yeah.
And so he knows exactly where that seed is inside the
Boulder. Oh, mashallah. So Tahir is saying that, you know, the fact is that Allah knows where it is, but precisely is something else. And also not just knowing, to bring it out from that huge thing, that takes precision. True? Accuracy. Now the other interesting thing is, if you think about someone who's very powerful, maybe think about those big bodybuilders, you know, big muscles, chunky thighs. You know, if you ask one of those bodybuilders to, I don't know, throw a little pellet, you know, just a little mark there on the wall, can you just throw it there for us? When he lobs it, he's going to throw it for miles. You know why? Because he can't control his power. Allah is so powerful, yet He is so precise as well at the same time. Allah is perfect, son. It's very beautiful the way He's teaching His son. But look what He's teaching His son. He's not teaching His son algebra. He's not teaching his son, better become an engineer, okay? He's not teaching his son about other things. He's talking about Allah's greatness. That's what he chose to advise his son about. Allah is great, son. And he never told his son, Allah is great. Beta, Allah is great. Do you know that? Can you repeat it 10 times, please? He didn't say it like that. He told him in a very imaginative, creative way. Would you agree or not? It's beautiful. Teaching us as parents that we need to think about how we communicate with our children. So the content is one thing, teaching our children about the greatness of Allah, but how do you teach them? Well, be creative in the way you teach them. Take a lesson from Luqman. Okay, next verse, number 17. يا بني أقم الصلاة وأمر بالمعروف وانهى عن المنكر واصبر على ما أصابك إن ذلك من عزم الأمور. My son, establish salah and command what is right and forbid what is wrong and be steadfast in the face of all that happens to you. That is certainly the most resolute course to follow. Once again, Ya Bunayya. Again, kind, affectionate, endearing words. What's the message now? Message before was about how you're supposed to be with who? Who? Parents. What was it even before that? La tushrik billah. So first it was about how to be with Allah. Then about parents. Now about Allah again, and then about everybody else. So he says, Ya bunay aqim as-salah. Number one thing, in terms of the way you behave, okay, the most important action you can do after having a good, correct belief in Allah, aqim as-salah. I mean, it's amazing. Luqman, lived how many hundreds of years ago? Only Allah knows. But even at that time, as-salah was brought first. Come on. He's not from our ummah. He's from a previous generation, going back to Dawood alayhi salam. And the first thing he chooses to mention is as-salah. And not just pray, aqim, which means to establish. Make it a part and parcel of your everyday life. Aqim as-salah. And then wa'mur bil ma'rufi wanha 'anil munkar. Do amr of ma'ruf and do nahyu 'anil munkar, of evil. I was visiting a Facebook page for a masjid. And on their Facebook profile, they had the school of commanding good and forbidding evil. I thought, oh my God, if someone has to read that, they'll be like, I don't want to go to that masjid. Probably order me about everywhere. And but the thing is, they would say that, no, this is a translation of Amr bil Ma'ruf wa Nahyu anil Munkar, ordering the good and forbidding the evil. However, that's not really accurate. Amr bil Ma'ruf, Amara, has the meaning of commanding, but it also has the meaning of persuading, suggesting, instructing. It's like a spectrum. And even if you command, the way you command people differs. I mean, my wife, for example, she's cooking, and then she says, can you go tell Dad dinner's ready? I'll come to Dad and say, Abbi, khana tayar aa jao. Nice, polite. I'm still doing Amr. But when she says, can you tell the girls to come downstairs? I say, hey, come downstairs right now, turn the cartoons off. It's different, right? But they're both Amr. So when you say commanding, it kind of means he's saying be aggressive towards other people and demand them to do certain things and all the rest of it. In fact, it's more broader than that. Some people you will suggest, is that really the right thing to do? Maybe it's better not to do that. You're just suggesting it. Some people you might command them. And when you command them, it might be like aggressive way, it might not be aggressive. So all of that comes under Amr bil Ma'ruf. Okay? And then wanha 'anil munkar, and to forbid evil. So this is now, he's talking about, okay, your ideology, I spoke about that already. Don't do shirk with Allah. And now about your personal relationship with Allah, that's the second thing I'm telling you about. Pray salah. And now about everybody else around you, the way you interact with them should be really and truly all about Amr bil Ma'ruf wa Nahyu 'anil Munkar. Which is kind of like saying, after you reformed yourself, now reform those around you. And that is exactly what we found in Surah Al-Asr. إِلَّا الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا وَعَمِلُوا الصَّالِحَاتِ وَتَوَاصَوْا بِالْحَقِّ وَتَوَاصَوْا بِالصَّبْرِ. You reformed yourself and then you turn to those around you to try and reform them. Same principle. And the same thing coming again, he says, وَاصْبِرْ, have sabr upon that which أَصَابَكَ. Asaba means to target. He's talking about tribulations, hardship. Again, why is sabr being mentioned after da'wah? Why? We've mentioned it already, right? Okay, we said that was another side reason. What was the main reason why sabr is being mentioned after da'wah? Abdullah? That's it. I'm telling you, son, that you need to go out there and start making a change, okay? And when you do, people aren't going to like that. وَاصْبِرْ عَلَى مَا أَصَابَكَ إِنَّ ذَلِكَ مِنْ عَزْمِ الْأُمُورِ. This means that these commands I've just given you, they're from the most binding of all the commandments of God. Azm, umur. Those matters that are azm, binding. The most binding of all things that God wants from us are these here. Salah, reforming society, being patient after doing all of those things. Okay. Last two verses. So far, any questions? Any questions about Luqman's advice? Anything not make sense? Yes, okay.
So when he started giving dawah to his son,
Yeah.
he didn't accept Islam. So that's why he is commanding to do salah.
Yes, the brother asked a good question. He said, so did his son accept Islam and that's why he's building upon that? There's a difference of opinion. Ibn Ashur rahimahullah said that وَهُوَ يَعِذُهُ not only means once upon a time when he was having a conversation, he began to admonish him. It also means that he continued to do that. He's always trying up until he eventually accepted Islam. So it teaches us about persistence in da'wah as well. Tayyib. So if that is the case, then it makes sense now. He's telling him that you need to pray, you need to do X, Y, and Z, because now you're Muslim. Any other questions? No? Okay, let's move on. This is the last two verses now. وَلَا تُصَعِّرْ خَدَّكَ لِلنَّاسِ وَلَا تَمْشِ فِي الْأَرْضِ مَرَحًا. Do not avert your face from people out of haughtiness. And do not strut about arrogantly on the earth. Allah does not love anyone who is vain or boastful. Now he's teaching him about good character. He's going to tell him two things not to do, and then he's going to tell him two things you should do. The two things you shouldn't do, son, وَلَا تُصَعِّرْ خَدَّكَ. Khad is your cheek. Tusa'ir comes from the root of su'r. Su'r refers to a disease that afflicts a camel. The camel's neck, it has a particular type of disease. Once it gets this disease, it basically starts moving its neck around like this. Okay? In a very morbid manner. So he's telling his son, look, you know the camel when it becomes diseased, it does this with his cheek. Don't do that to people. What does he mean by that? What he means is that don't be arrogant towards others when they approach you. You know what I'm saying? Like, for example, you're here today and you're meeting different people. So you want to meet and you want to greet and you want to find out. So one of the brothers, you meet him and you say, oh yeah, well, where do you work then? He goes, yeah, I work in Asda. I'm going to get a cappuccino. Why? And you're too good to speak to him because he works in Asda? You think you're better than him? Well, you just turned your cheek away. That was a sign of your arrogance. Son, don't do that. And Ibn Ashur said that in fact is implying be like everybody else. Think of yourself just one of the people. Don't think yourself better than others. So when someone comes to you to talk to you and you feel, he's not on my level, I don't really want to have a conversation with you. Actually, I don't want to be seen with you right now. Somebody might see us together and say, oh, he knows that person. Tahir, you want to ask something?
Is that including Ghana?
When you go like that, that's usually when you're saying no. When dad says it's bath time. No, I'm joking. Yeah, so it's more like when you do that. People do that sometimes. Sometimes they do that because of arrogance. Yeah, and so this is an advice, don't be like that. So don't do that with your cheek out of arrogance. وَلَا تَمْشِ فِي الْأَرْضِ مَرَحًا. And don't walk on the earth in a state of marh. Marh means extreme excitement. You know, like extreme excitement is the technical meaning, but what it means is somebody so arrogant that you can see the arrogance in the way they walk. SubhanAllah. That must mean you're damn arrogant. And the way you walk, strutting around, it displays your arrogance. And in our times, how do people walk that shows they're arrogant? They have a swag, keep your swag on, as they say. That type of walk, you can tell it from a mile off, right? Or sometimes the way gangsters dress, the way they dress is very unique. And the way they walk is like they're skiing, So that type of walk, son, it might differ from time to time, but it says something about who you are. It says that you're arrogant. Now the question here, my brothers and sisters, is a bit difficult, but let's see if you can answer it. Arrogance is an inward problem or an outward problem? Where is it based? Where is it root? Inward. It's a disease of the heart, or it's arrogance in your mind, right? So it's an inward problem. But Luqman is saying to his son, the way you deal with your arrogance is you deal with something outward. The way you walk and the way you interact with other people. That is about behavior. But arrogance is to do with psychology. So what is the link here? A psychological problem, is being remedied with, if you like, a physical, behavioral remedy. Physical remedy for a psychological problem. Or more simply put, inward problem, but an outward advice. How does the two come together? How does changing the way you walk make you less arrogant? Surely, the two really aren't connected. Okay, Dad, yeah.
I think it might be the fact that once somebody pointed out, you might start thinking about it, why do I walk like this?
Okay.
Because I think I'm like this, that's why I'm walking. So when you correct that physical walking inside,
Yeah.
you start thinking differently.
Okay, so the fact you're saying that once you mention that, look, be careful about the way you walk, then the person's going to start thinking I'm arrogant, and then when he thinks I'm arrogant, he's going to change the way he thinks. But let's say he doesn't think that. Let's say he just is simple-minded. Dad said, don't walk like this, walk like this. So I'm going to walk like this. Will walking like that still help him with the arrogance problem? Sisters, are you following what we're discussing here? No? Sisters aren't following. Who can explain what I'm asking? Who thinks? Yeah, go ahead.
I think it's both ways.
La. 1 second. We said, can somebody explain what we're asking here? Because the sisters don't understand. Or I haven't explained it well enough. Yeah.
We're talking about how does an inward feeling or thought
Yep.
express itself externally, physically.
Yes.
So, in this case, how is the advice here of physically doing something?
Yes.
Does it affect the person's internal thought or heart process?
Very good. MashaAllah. Very good. So, as Nahid said, did you hear what Nahid said? He didn't. Okay, Nahid said that we're talking about an inward hidden problem. It's to do with the mind, right? Person thinks they're arrogant, it's to do with the mind, right? But the way we're being told that it's going to get corrected is by changing something on the outside. Yeah? So how does changing something on the outside going to affect what's on the inside?
I don't think it is. Well, it's a beginning,
Okay.
but you need to realise why you're changing. The first thing is why you're changing. Like body language, really.
Okay, so you said it's the beginning. So how is it at the beginning? How would it help in some way, shape, or form? How exactly would it help?
How you come across.
Okay, so you won't be perceived as arrogant. But do you think he's telling him don't be perceived as arrogant or don't be arrogant?
No, the root cause is the fact that your mentality.
Yeah.
Change.
It's true. So your root cause is what is being targeted. But the way it's being targeted is about doing something outside. Anyone can answer this question? Yes.
Well, there's a saying that the image you portray is the destiny you seek.
Right.
So the way, even I don't know how much this person would know
Yeah.
after the advice, but the way every action that you do
Yep.
will then project the arrogance.
Right.
So if you, from the core, if you stop projecting the image that you're not supposed to project,
Yep.
it will automatically stop you from being arrogant slowly.
Okay, that's true, but how though? That's the kind of. We'll take one more answer, and then we have to move on. Yep. No, it's not Maghrib. We've got 10 minutes. Finish, inshallah. Sister, yep. We'll take one from the sister, yep. Yep. Okay, kind of, sister. Jazakallah khair for the contribution there. What we're learning, my brothers and sisters, is something quite profound. And that is that human beings, the way they correct their way of thinking is partly to do the way they actually behave. Like, for example, imagine a mushrik. He's so used to bowing down to an idol. It comes as second nature now. Wal-'iyadhu billah, doing puja to Hanuman. It's second nature to this guy. Now the thing is, that's his action, doing puja. He becomes Muslim, alhamdulillah. But when he sees a Hanuman idol, he still feels like he should go down in puja. Why? You don't think that anymore. Oh, but my body and the way I behave is kind of affected the way I think. So much so that I now need to consciously not do that action anymore. Do you get that? So by acting differently, it affects the way you think inwardly. If you speak, for example, in a more posh way, then you probably start thinking a bit more posh as well. If you start talking dirty, wal-'iyadhu billah, using foul, disgusting language, do you think you'll start thinking disgusting as well? True, isn't it? In the same way, the way you tackle certain disease of the heart, like arrogance, is you change your outward behavior. Act humble and you will begin to think humble. Your arrogance will come down slowly. Very wise words from Luqman, subhanAllah, amazing. And then he gives him the reason to his son. Don't be like this. Why? Because, yaar, hamari besti ho jaye yaar. Mom and dad brought you up good and everyone's looking at you, the way you dress and the way you have your swag and all the rest of it. They're going to say, Mom and dad didn't bring you up properly. Is that the reason he gives? Does he? What does he say? Allah doesn't love this. Subhanallah. Don't do this because Allah doesn't love it. Not because we're asking you, son. Not because my reputation is on the line, son. No, Allah wants this from you. Allah doesn't love kullu mukhtal fakhur. Mukhtal comes from the root of khayl. Khayl is a prestigious horse that people would bring out, strut in front of others in order to show off. Allah doesn't love that person who thinks he's like that prestigious horse who needs to go and show off. Fakhur is a very person full of pride. Allah doesn't love that. So son, the reason I'm saying you don't do it, Allah doesn't like it, okay? Last verse now. Last verse, وَقَصِدْ مَشْيِكَ وَغْضُضْ مِنْ صَوْتِكَ. You remember I said he's going to tell him two things don't do and two things to do. Two things don't do. Number one was what? Don't turn your cheek away from other people. And don't what? Don't walk around in an arrogant way. طيب. Now two things you should do, son. Number one, وَقَصِدْ فِي مَشْيِكَ. Again with the walking. Again with the walking. Now he's saying وَقَصِدْ فِي مَشْيِكَ. وَقَصِدْ means to be balanced in the way you walk. It's something so subtle, isn't it? From all the things Dad is telling me, he's saying, watch how you walk. When you walk, وَقَصِدْ فِي مَشْيِكَ. Two interpretations. First is, he's saying, I said, don't be arrogant in the way you walk. Now I'm telling you, be humble in the way you walk. Be humble. Second interpretation is be in the middle in terms of your pace. Not too fast and not too slow. Too fast kind of shows like you're showing off or you're arrogant. Too slow is like, oh, Mr. Humble me. Can't you see the crumbs left behind from my humble pie? No. Don't be on this extreme, don't be on that extreme. Be in the middle. وَقَصِدْ فِي مَشِّكَ وَغْضُضْ مِنْ صَوْتِكَ. And now your voice, son. You know the way you talk? I want you to وَغْضُضْ, lower your voice. Meaning, don't raise your voice when there's no need to. You seen that on the bus, train sometimes? You know they're getting Wi-Fi on the underground now? So, someone's on the phone and they want everyone to know they're on the phone. Everyone's got to know, I'm going home now from work, I can't talk, I'm busy, I've got so many things lined up later on. Why are they doing that? What does that say about the person? Something not right inside. Again, the way you deal with that, being a drama queen, for example, being so dramatic in the way you express yourself, lower your voice. Don't raise it when there's no need. Beautiful. وَقْصِدْ فِي مَشِّكْ وَقْصِدْ مَشِّكْ وَغْضُضْ مِنْ صَوْتِكْ. And now another reason why you shouldn't be like this, or why you should take my advice. إِنَّ أَنْكَرَ الْأَصْوَاتِ لَصَوْتُ الْحَمِيرِ. Indeed, the ankar, which means either the most detestable or the most annoying. The most annoying voice is the voice of who? A donkey. A donkey. Look at the picture of a donkey. Dad is saying, don't be like a donkey, son. That imagery, donkey, droopy ears, and the way the donkey hee-haw, braying like a donkey. Do you know what you sound like? When you're talking like that, raising your voice, being such a drama queen, you're being like a donkey, son. Don't be like a donkey. Now, when son is told in this way, he's thinking, I don't want to be like a donkey. Is that what people see? Oh no, I don't want to be like that. Very powerful, persuasive way in the way he directs his advice. And one of the main lessons we learn is that if you're going to give advice to your children or to anyone, always give reasons. Always give reasons. And there's so many reasons you can give. The best reason is, you know what, do this, don't do this because Allah wants this or Allah doesn't want this. Allah will give you this, or Allah may punish you if you don't do this, or if you do this. That's the best type of reasoning. You can use many other reasonings as well. Luqman used another reason here. He said, don't be like this because you're kind of behaving like an animal. And the Prophet used to use this tool as well. He used to say that the likeness of somebody who gets a gift. What was the hadith? You know the hadith about the one he gets a gift and then he... What is the hadith in the beginning? He takes a gift and then? No. طيب. The Prophet said that the one who gives a gift and then asks for it back is like a what? A dog that vomits and then takes it back up again. Yeah, that imagery. Don't be like that. But tying the ruling to an association with something which is negative. Yeah, this is called negative reinforcement, I think. Anyhow, this brings us to the end of the advice of Luqman. May Allah be eternally pleased with Luqman. May Allah help us to take guidance from these beautiful words of advice. Subhanakallahumma hamdika ashhadu an la ilaha illa anta astaghfiruka wa atubu ilayk.